Hi there, how are you? Jonathan and Brenna here. We've brought you for a little trip around this Rimu walk, and we're at the Kakaho campsite, which isn't too far from home in the centre of the North Island, not far from Taupo, not far from Lake Taupo anyway. And we'll take you for a little walk around and have a look. So we're just starting down this track, and you can see on the left all of these ferns. This is sort of typical of how they grow, this type of fern. Blechnum Nova Zealandia, just Kio Kio fern, that one there. Get quite big long fronds on them. They have nice red growth later in the year when they start to regrow again. This is still only about a minute's walk from the car park where we just started. This is a popular spot, I guess, over summer for people to camp back up there. There's a big grass area, and there's a swing here. And there's a nice clear waterhole to swim in. It looks fairly deep from here, but you can see the bottom. Can't see any fish. We're on the bridge across this little stream. There's that swimming hole over there that we just saw. There's plenty of big native trees here, so we'll go and see what we can find. There's a huge one there, but I think he's a little bit dead on the top. There's some rimu over there and behind it. Just found a climber called Bush Lawyer. It's just going up in front of me, that's what I was looking at. I managed to reach a leaf off it. So I don't know if you heard of Bush Lawyer. It's the lawyer of the bush. So on the front of the leaf, it's just a long green leaf. Then you turn over to the back. Check out those spikes. So they're okay to touch with your finger. They feel they're pokey, but it's when you're walking through the bush, you can see they point slightly backwards, so they can rip your hands or your arms as you walk through them. You often find them down in gullies and valleys where you tend to, if you're tramping or hunting, you're crashing through and they rip you. I'll show you what the plant looks like going up through the bush here, up through this tree. So that's the trunk of it that I just found, which is only like inch and a half diameter. And then it's got these branches coming out off it. And then if the sun doesn't play havoc on the picture, it goes off over there. Yeah, so there's some big old rimus here. Some of them just here aren't in the best of condition. Here's a planter pot made in nature. So we've got a punga trunk rotted out, but that's so dark inside. But look at the little creeper in there. That's not lit up or anything, that's just showing how it is on the edge of the path. Look at that. It's quite groovy, isn't it? That looks like an Astelia, which is epiphytic, grows up in trees, notably way up there in the rimu is where it would have been. So you can see that that's fallen out. Yeah, trees really become hosts to other plants. You can see on this one we've got this fern here, which is very soft, but it looks like it would be sharp, but it's not. And you've got this one climbing up it. This is Supplejack vine growing up it, which is then headed off over up into that one. He's off on a mission, they go for miles. And then the tree fern itself should be a Dixonia. So everybody jumps on board and lives there. There's Supplejack seeds, you can just sort of see a way up there. Still ripe, there we go, there's red ones here. We found a couple on the ground. That's the Supplejack seed, or berry really, I suppose, seed is inside. Brenda's going to stand in front of that tree to show the width of it while she's next to it. So that's the width of that Remu. There's another swimming hole down there. Another little bridge over there we're going to go around and cross over shortly. We had a good frost at home this morning. And it's probably the middle of the day now. It's not that warm in the bush here though. My ears are cold. That's the steam out of my mouth. That's what happens when trees come down over the path and you've got to come through and chop them. Good length. This is like a who's who of the fern family down in here. There's a little bit of everything in here. A lot of those I know, some of them I can't remember, and some of them I don't know. And I'm not going to get into the names of all of those and putting them up on screen for this video. Mainly just showing you what's around and what nature there is, mostly. So this little fern is a Blechnum, and you can see the new growth. So not all new growth has to be bright colours on plants. You can see that's a real browny colour. So we found a Cyathea delbata, which is silver fern. So if you've heard of sports teams in New Zealand, if you're not from New Zealand, a lot of them have ferns and things as our emblem. So I'll show you what the silver fern in New Zealand looks like. So this is the top of the fronds, and they're quite a greeny yellowy colour, and a matte green yellowy stem and a matte green. You can sort of pick them as you get near them. Underneath, well, you can see they also have the silver on at the base of the frond stem, not all the way up, but then underneath they're silvery white, which goes all the way down on the backs. So that's where we get the name, it's the silver fern. And they grow up tall. That one's not very tall, that one, but they'll get up. There's a taller silver fern, so you can see they get quite tall. That'll still go a little way yet. See how if I don't trip over as I'm walking, you can see how the trunk changes. So that's all the little branches from where the old fronds have come off over the years. So it's sort of like a whole network of roots, really, the trunk. But you can see how near the bottom it gets denser and denser, and then once again everybody jumps on to start living their life on there. I think this is probably my favourite little fern. I do like others, but I like the frilliness of this one. This is a Splenium bulbiferum, and those are the little pups or bulblets you can grow ferns from. So they actually just grow on there like that, and they can come off, you can pull them off, or they fall off eventually, sometimes the way to the frond will even weigh it right down, and they'll just do almost like a layering. Well, it is a layering, and they'll just start growing in the ground. They also have spores as well. They probably won't have any at this time of the year. There you can see some starting under there. That's the casing is covering the spores. So they've got a couple of ways of propagating, but for commercial and for being a little bit quicker, getting the little pups off the fronds is the best way. I like them because they're quite soft and frilly. They match silver birches and maples and all that sort of cooling, relaxing, soft look. That's the epiphytic nature of some trees that I was speaking of. It's way, 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 way up in that tree. This is the beginning of our ascent. It's just a flight of stairs. There's a track across and some more stairs. And then I think there's plenty more to follow. We're counting our steps. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. They haven't been going all the way. They stop and start, but there's plenty more to come up there, so we'll carry on. Well, that's 176 steps so far. We must be going quite steep uphill here because they're in close and quick concession. If I turn around, you'll see what's left behind us. Some up there. That's probably about the top up there. 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 220. Oh, that's a good round number, isn't it? 220. That's almost a number you can remember in the future. So we came up all of those stairs down there. So there was a few in the last bit, the last 100 I guess were all together. But it wasn't. As long as you can climb stairs, you'll be all right. It's not overly difficult if you find yourself here. And then there's a little lookout with a seat. So we're up in the treetops now because way down there is where we came from. A couple of different ferns up here by this little lookout. So this longer leafed one, I'll find a nice leaf, that one there, its common name is Hounds Tooth, but a little bit more rare, or you can't buy it and it's hard to try and get one started in your garden unless you happen to have it growing there, is kidney fern, which usually likes it really sort of dark and damp, so I'm surprised that it's on the top of a hill. It's in the shade, but it's on the top of the hill up here, and it's not in sort of rocks or water. I guess underneath us there's rocks, and that's called kidney fern. It grows on those running rhizomes under the ground. Real soft greeny colour. You often see quite a mat of it in a good damp area. Well, that was good. We've just finished the loop walk. We've come out at the end of the loop, which is just along from where we parked. We've just spotted this native fuchsia, which is a tree. It's deciduous. I've actually got these growing in the nursery at home. You can see the bark is quite the standout. So that bark is like that all year long, and it loses its leaves. And when the leaves come back, or just before they come back in spring, it'll have little fuchsia flowers on it. So they grow into a real tree. So possibly an hour. Steps going up 220, I think I said, coming down 167. So maybe there was more downhill path. But anyway, we've got back to ground level where we started. So if you're in Taupo sometime and you feel like a walk out in nature, it's probably 45 minutes from Taupo out to this walk, which is at a site on the map called Kakaho campsite. And this is the Rimu walk, which really was full of Rimus. We'll carry on. We're going to go another little drive down the road and we'll find you something else to look at today. So now we've brought you down where there's a cycle track that starts. There's a river here and there's a swing bridge which we like, so we'll take you and show you that. So it's actually called the Waihaha cycle track. It's part of the, what do they call it? Great Lake Trails, which isn't too far from our place either. So we are here. And that's the cycle ride. All the way to there. You can finish there and drive back through the farmland, back out to the main road. Or you can carry on the cycle ride down to here, which is quite low below the ground. There's quite big cliffs here. And then you have to either ride back or you can catch a water taxi. There you go, water taxi. And here is the swing bridge, which we quite like, this little swing bridge. Even though it's not a very deep river, it's flowing. Usually there's not as much water as this. Well, not usually, sometimes. So all of this over here I've seen is just rock, and it's only this bit here has had the channel of water, and you can walk across there, and further down round the corner you can come down the bank and walk across the rocks out to just this tiny little channel that's flowing. But at the moment it's not that narrow, it's full width. In places it's not deep where the rocks are up high, in other places it's a little bit deeper. There's our bridge we came across. You can see the sun still shining a bit, but that'll be going down soon. That's the channel of the river that's normally flowing, just in that middle deep part there. Well, it's the end of the day now, and some of these areas were frosted, and they're still frosted, so they're not going to see any sunshine today. So we don't get snow here, but we do get frosts, so anything below zero is fairly cool no matter where you are. But it's a nice day, and it's good. I like a good frost, and that's what we got. This is quite an interesting fern. We often have seen it in great big drifts coming down the bank. This is the best example we can find today. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our nature walks and a look at the New Zealand native bush around this area. A lot of it is similar around New Zealand. We do get different trees down the South Island, which is generally a lot colder than up in the North Island, but of course areas like this are cold. We're not getting snow, but we're getting frosts. But that aside, hope you enjoyed the plants and the look at our nature and the look around. And we'll catch you next time from Jonathan and Brenna in central North Island and New Zealand. We'll see you later. Don't forget to subscribe to me. Woo!